Hi, I am Cam Calderon and I want to go over the seminar for week number 5 for economic analytics. The big question that I set for, or the provocative question that I set for that seminar is, are we going to have a Christmas without lockdown? So let's see what happens, guys. I think with the small knowledge that we have so far, we can arrive actually to very nice and important conclusions and probably a debate between you and me. So I hope you enjoyed this session. So let's go to my full desktop. Okay, so first of all, I open Refinitiv. I'm not going to go over the details of that because that is part of the previous session. I downloaded the data set from here. So the only thing that I did was to type United Kingdom deaths or COVID deaths. Right. And once I click in there, I will get the cumulative deaths for the United Kingdom. This graph. And I am going to download the data set by clicking in here. 2 years because you know that the data about coronavirus is just from March or January. I open the file. And once, I think it's still loading, but once I open the file, I think we will need to wait as well a little bit for Refinitiv to retrieve the data. So I think it says that this is a file that is read only, to read only, so we will change that later. For some reason it's not like loading the document, so I just went to this cell and hit enter. Now it's saying not sign in. I am signed in, so probably it's going to sign in now and retrieve the last data. I must say that during the previous session and I used the data up until the 1st of November 2020. So we are going to use the last 4 days to see if we have any changes in the variables that we are going to calculate during this seminar. So I'm going to delete the headings because I wouldn't like that information to like be in the middle of the wave in my data set. And I will name this column day and this column cumulative deaths. Yes, that is the cumulative deaths, as you can see here. But what we want to know actually is the daily deaths. And the daily deaths is simply, I'm going to increase here so you can see better in the video. The cumulative, the daily deaths are simply the difference between the previous day. And obviously I will need to sort the data by the date, so from the oldest to the newest. So I will go here to, I think this is in the middle of my way to access the results. So I will go here to data, and then I will stand anywhere in that table and I will sort everything by day. Yes, the oldest to the newest. Please make sure that that you check on this box telling Excel that your data set has headings. I hit OK, and now I do have the data from the oldest to the newest. Now I will be able to calculate the debts that we have on the 31 of the cumulative debts that we have on the 31st of January minus the cumulative debts that we have on the 30th. That will give us the daily debts in this data set. I go up until this cursor change to this black cross and I double click. So I will copy the same formula down up to the bottom. But if we see the results of these calculations and we insert here like a quick graph in Excel, you can see that the problem we have with the data and is these fluctuations in the days. This happens because the hospitals like have a delay in reporting the deaths, especially during the weekend. So we have spikes all the time on Mondays. So we will need to find a method in order to smooth this data. The method that I am going to use is simply calling at the average of the previous 7 figures of daily debts. So in this case I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, and then I am going to divide this by 7 days. So in general I will have the average of these previous 7 days in this cell. Yes, I can copy this formula down up to the bottom and I will say here 7-day average. And if we have an inspection or we inspect this variable, we will see that we can insert here like quickly a graph to check what are the results, and you see that actually we have like a beta shape now. Yes, there's a little bit of noise here, but in general is in a beta shape to try to make some research about this. Yes, right? Okay, let's delete this graph. This is good just to inspect the file. The only thing that I need to do now is to copy and paste the data in values because I cannot pass these formulas to R. I don't want problems with that formula, so I will click on here and then I will right click, copy, and then I stand here, right click, paste special, values, and OK. Right? So if I inspect my data, and as you can see, I do not have any formulas whatsoever, just the values, the appropriate values that we calculate. I do not really need the information from January and February. As you can see, in January and February, we do not have like appropriate data to calculate anything. So I will delete the data from January and February. I think my dataset is actually now more ready to make calculations now that I have the correct data. So I will go here to File, Save As, Browse, and I will save this file in my documents in the folder that we created during the first session. So I ask you to create a folder called Econ 2545. Let's see if I can find anything here. Yes, it is in here. And in datasets, I'm going to save this dataset as COVID minus deaths. Yes, I think that is the name that I want to put to the name to this file. I am going to save over the previous file. It's going to ask me if I can do that. Yes, I want to replace the file. I am totally okay with that. And then I have the file here. Everything is looking fantastic. All right, I will leave the file open and I will now go to R. So I think we prepared this for the previous session. So I am going now to perform everything here. I will close all the windows that I have here in R. I will stand on line number 1. I think you already know how to import datasets. Just in case, I recall that you can go here to from Excel I already have my code here to call my COVID deaths Excel file. If you have questions about that, look at my previous videos or my previous lab seminar in which we cover how to upload Excel files. I already copy and paste the code from all that routine that we did using import dataset. So I'm going just to go to line number 1, stand anywhere in there and hit Control Enter. Yes, as you can see in my console is good. So library read Excel, open the library of commands to open Excel files. And then I will name my Excel file in R under the name COVID deaths, Control Enter. Perfect, no errors, so everything looks fantastic. And then I will be able to view what contains that object COVID deaths, and it contains the actual data set that I just uploaded. Yes, so everything is looking perfect so far. Now I want to plot COVID deaths, yes, but obviously I cannot plot everything. So I am just deciding to plot the column, the sign dollar is for that, average daily deaths. I wonder that I probably changed the name to that. So I am going to type sign dollar again, the sign dollar, and I have here the names that I give to that file. So in this case I changed the name, so it Control Enter, and I have here the graph that I am going to use to add the information or the timeline that I have here on my dataset. So importantly here I added the 23rd of March, when the public is told to they are going to be allowed to leave they are not going to be allowed to leave their homes. So it's like the first time in which we are going to have the lockdown. And then I added as well 10th May because it's the first easing of the England's lockdown. Yes, so that is another important date that is going to help us make some like assumptions in order to calculate or to arrive to the question on whether we are going to have a lockdown during Christmas or not. And then John the 1st, in which the measures were eased, and we have school children in England and reception year 1 to 6 returning to the classroom. So another important date. Yes, so I am going to add all these dates to my dataset. So let's start by adding then March the 23. How can I find the observation in R? So I'm going to go to R. I will go to this table that I have here, and I'm going to try to find here March the 23rd. March the 23rd is the observation number 23. You can actually do the same in the Excel file if you prefer. So March the 23rd, yes, March the 23rd is the 23rd observation. So this one is fine, and I put color red because everything that is restrictions in this file is going to be red. Yes, in the next date, which is May the 10th, we have the 71 observation. Let's see if that is correct. So let's inspect here the 71 observation, which is May the 10th, as you can see here. Right, so I will add that line as well. Yes, that is the first ease of the restrictions. And then I have the next date, which is June the 1st. June the 1st here in my R code is 93. Let's see if that is true. 93rd. Okay, 93 is actually June the 1st, as you can see here. So that means guys that this is correct, and I can hit Control Enter for this ease of the restrictions, Control Enter for this ease of the restrictions. Further to that, I have that in 15th June, England retail parks, high streets and shopping centers welcome customers, etc. On the 16th of June, the cheap stereodexamethasone is hailed as a major breakout. On the 3rd of July, a list of 73 countries and territories where English tourists can visit without self-isolated was published. 4th of July, Pines are poor and couples finally say I do as lockdown restrictions are eased across England. And as you can see, there are many news like easing restrictions, other news like locking down the country, etc. Also, we have, for instance, the Eat Out to Help Out, a scheme from the government here on the 3rd of August, making everybody go to the restaurants on the 28th of August, like raves and licensed music events and etc. 10,000 fines, etc. So information. The idea was that you needed to enter all this information in this graph, like by way of using lines. So I did as I am showing. All these blue lines are ease of restriction. The red lines are increase of restrictions. And here we arrive to the line 27th, in which the government decided to on the 31st of October, they started to say about scientists that we could have be several thousands COVID deaths a day. Boris Johnson announced a lockdown on the 5th of November, so probably the beta date to set this last news is not the 31st of October, it's actually the 5th of November. I say during my previous seminar that actually the government was acting too slow. So let's see what are the impact of the government on changing the lockdown date, or not changing, acting late. So this needs to be the 5th of November, more or less, because it was 5th of November midnight, I think, or something like that. So 5th of November midnight is the observation. I have the information just up until the 4th of November. So I don't have the 5th of November to put the last line. So let's put just the 4th of November in the which is the observation 249. Let's put 249, and well, we will have to do the forecast with that one day that was very important to get to know. So here we are, that is the last red line, guys, of this data series, and we are going to use everything to forecast. I said to you before that you need to install the package forecast, but you do need to install it just once. So if you already installed it, you can put like a hashtag there. So this will become a comment and not a command. Then you are able to open the library forecast if you just clicking here. Yes. So Control Enter. And then with the command snaive, you will be able to run a naive forecast. So let's run a naive forecast now. Yes, we are running a naive forecast with, and the frequency that I set here is 213 with a forecast of 70 periods. Yes, 213 in this data set is around here when we are starting to get this raise in the coronavirus figures. Yes, so let's see how it goes. Control Enter. Oh, I got an error, and the error is here, guys. I need to change the name of this column because I am using a new file. I set a different name. I should have used the same one. 7-day average is the new name. So I hit Control Enter. Okay, from here, so I am going to open the library forecast and then calculate the SNAI forecast with 213, because I would like to start forecasting since the 213th observation, which is more or less here when we started having this increase in the frequency. And I'm going to forecast 70 periods because that is more or less what it took the previous wave to take place up until this release of the condition. So you can see here that is 70 here, right? Okay, from the lockdown, I think it took us like just 21 days to come back to like give to achieve the peak, right? So we can check that actually later, yes, to check the peak of the lockdown. For the moment being, let's run this SNI forecast and let's plot the SNI forecast, and you can see this graph here. That is the forecast using the same pattern that we have before. As you can see, this is exactly the same. Yes, I think this is a very powerful tool in R, like seasonal naive forecast. Now we are going to assume that there is a 50% improvement in clinical and medical treatments. That was what the chief of the NHS say. So we are going to assume that that is true. So I hit here Control Enter, and then I add the lines here, Control Enter. So in general, my guess is that because of this 50% in success in the treatment, we are going to have this pattern in the cases now. Yes, I think these are very good news for us because probably the lockdown is going to take less time this time. Although there are some assumptions from other scientifics that are saying that probably what we are going to have is like a very flat a curve this time because of the winter period. So let's see, that is very important. So this is the maximum number of deaths. This time is going to be around 400, 500, probably very close to 500. Yes, yesterday we saw a figure that was around that. So more or less, I will believe that it's going to be probably a little bit up from this level, but I think we are very close with this forecast. We are able to see the data for this forecast. Yes, and as you can see, we are actually here looking at the data of this forecast. Now we are able to add a red line, yes, in more or less this place. This value, I calculated this value just by trial and error, this to maximize what is the peak here of this wave, yes, and I have like the label here, peak second lockdown, yes, so this is the peak of the second lockdown. The previous forecast, as you can see, was around here because this actual title was up, yes, but these are good news as well. I was forecasting 600, a peak in 600 deaths. Then I can add in blue, in color blue, the date. I think this date is important because was the time in which we have like an ease of the restrictions after a lockdown, yes, so that these are very good news as well, yes. So we started here, we are not, we hope to finish the lockdown here in this date, which is very important. So I will change here in the code the date because we do not really know, yes, so if I add this, I would like to get to know more or less when we are going to have 217 deaths in this new wave. So I am going to here, and that is, I am going to find that data manually. It's 217 deaths. is more or less here between day 36 and 37. So 36 and 37. Oh, I forgot to check the date. Oh, it's not here, 36, 37. So that is going to be in our data set around here, 36 and 37, after the observation 36 and 37. Yes. So what I'm going to do is to try to find the 36th day from now, 36 or 37th day. So we can find here in our calendar that we started here, so we can count 36. So we have here 1, 2, 3 weeks, 21 plus 4, 25 plus 7, 32. 32 plus 5 is more or less here December the 11th. So I'm going to add December 11th as the new forecasted deadline. As you can see here, my graph is not very well done. Yes, because as you can see, it's not pointing at this particular date. So what I'm going to do is to just pull the text back, and I'm just going to do this by changing the x-axis here. So I need to change this to 142 or so. Let's see how it looks. 142, no, it needs more, probably 122. I cannot see very well now. I will have, as you can see, we have to plot everything again. So I come back here and just hit Control Enter up until I set this label manually. Can you see? This time is too far away from this now, so it's not 122, probably 132. Control Enter. It's better, this one. Yes, it's a little bit closer. So let's change now this one a little bit. 35. Yes, and let's plot everything up again. I will not like to plot I will jump over that line, and it looks much better, hinting that this is the date of the lockdown, 11th of December. So what these results are showing, guys, is that if the chief of the NHS is true, is right, and we have a 50% in like improvement in the clinical medical treatments, or in other words, 50% less mortality. Yes, I think what this is saying is that we are going to have like an ease of the lockdown on the 11th of December. I must say that I am using the number of deaths to forecast that, but actually I think probably for the future would be nice as well to forecast the same curve using the number of people in the hospital. Yes, in hospital cases. I think that is very important, because if the aim is to protect the NHS, I think what we need to look is probably at the number of hospitalizations. I believe that is very close, using as well mortality rate. I think we need to use both. Yes. All right. So what is the forecasted total casualties from the lockdown? Control Enter. In this case, the number of casualties is 17,000, as you can see here. Yes, so I will type the new number, casualties. That compares to 23,000 casualties when I was just calculating decreasing the mortality rate just in the 35%. Yes, so that is good news as well, because we will have like more than 6,000 deaths as well in the second wave. Hopefully, if this data that the chief of the NHS said today is correct. We can calculate the mortality rate because we are using actual data on deaths, and we are able to compare this high peak with what is actually happening now. But I think it's good for now. I finish the explanation of this um, activity number 6, and I hope you have enjoyed this explanation. Hopefully we are going to have an ease of restrictions on the 11th of December. Okay guys, now let's have a quick look on this, the other activities. The other activities were more about read the news for the UK in Refinitiv. So I give you these commands, for instance, top news. You shall use all these commands in Refinitiv here. So if you type here top news, yes, you will be able to open the app Top News. So there are several apps with this within Refinitiv. Top News is opening now. This will give us access to the very last news. For instance, we have here that Biden nears to victory and Trump lashes out with false fraud claims. So that is what is happening now. So we have a divided US Congress. As you can see, we have a lot of information here, very interesting. If you just type this top news, you will have the news, but in a different order, just in like in lines. Yes, you will be able as well to filter the results with these tools here. And yes, these are real time streaming headlines that you will be able to check if you want. All right, so this is a very interesting as well. So you know you need to put all these commands in this search box. You have also this other command, EM, to find forecast for the UK upcoming and highly important economic events. So economical events is another type of study that we can perform. As you can see, there are like lots of forecasts here. This is very important because one of our tasks here is to see how forecasting is important for economists. In what country would you invest savings? So we have here a activity to explore the application EC. So again, you can type here EC in your Refinitiv screen and you will get the economics guide. Yes. Right. And you will be able to open the rest of the commands. Please explore them, have a time on them. Economic world comparison. So this is very important to get to know where to invest the money. For instance, what country would you invest? Could be something interesting to see. So these are like the 4-quarter percentages changes. The third quarter 2020. We have the US here, and we have unfortunately the UK around here in minus or more than minus 20. Yes. India is almost minus 25%. I think we are at least better than India in this case. In terms of other economies, like Japan is better, and even the euro area better than us. I very doubt about the proposition that Europe was like holding us like back in terms of Brexit as a reason to get Brexit. But anyway, as you can see, we have like a very serious bad performance now. Okay, so that is everything for today, guys. Please carry on doing this exercise. There are here another question: are we going to get negative interest rates in the UK? This is the information I downloaded last time, but for sure, I think I will increase the possibilities for a negative rate now that Biden is in power, now that we have very bad Brexit talks, and also now that we have a second lockdown, a historical lockdown in the UK. And I think we are going to talk about this for years to come. All right, guys. So this is Cam Calderon. I hope you have enjoyed this calculation of whether we are going to have or not a Christmas in a lockdown. My analysis shows that it's possible that we are going to have a release on the 11th of December or so, and hopefully further ease of restrictions in the days ahead. So we are going to have a more normal Christmas. There are many assumptions in the model. Yes, big assumption is about that we are not taking into account winter, that is negative. Positive account that we probably the succeed in decreasing mortality is higher. So there are many factors. The restrictions on the lockdown, they are not very high as we had before. That is something that can like extend the curve to the right. But in general, I think that is good for today, guys. So I hope to see you soon.